Welcome, everyone. Apologies for not being able to do this as a proper screen share. Picture, this is Balquhidder, and I'm one of the founding directors of Balquhidder Community Broadband. And I have presented to UKNOF a couple of times, but this time what we want to do is really look at how we built the network. But just so we recap, so in 2007, there was a survey of the Glen to find out what people had in the way of broadband. And then nothing much really happened until about 2015, where Community Broadband Scotland finally said that they would support us with de minimis money. Basically, they were looking at a wireless broadband project on that. But the directors ourselves, we believed that we could, with using community volunteers, we might be able to bag a kind of fibre project. And we tweaked the invitation to tender, put it out. And from that, we met up with Brandon and Simon from Bogons and formed a partnership. And 2 years of further contractual negotiations with Community Broadband Scotland to try and get money out of them, which actually ended up with none. We didn't get any money from them. But Stirling Council and Leader provided us with some money, and we believed that the up-and-coming DCMS voucher scheme would allow us to finance the rest of the scheme. So a bit of serendipity here. In 2017, because of the Emergency Service Network project, fibre was actually, well, Openreach brought fibre right into the Glen. And actually not far from my house, which was really, really quite convenient. And it was right next to where a developer was planning to build some houses. And so he gave us a bit of land. And you can see a picture here of Openreach at the cabinet that we put on that. And if you look at the bottom where the vans are, well, it's a bit dark, but the pole where the fibre ended up was just behind the second van there. So it was really quite convenient, and we got connected to the cabinet, running back to Bogon's bunker at Cultibraggan, which is just outside Crieff. So around about September, we started laying some of our conduit so that we could blow fibre later on, and got round to basically over that winter connecting about 15 properties in the Stronvar side of the Glen. And the map basically shows you basically roughly where these properties are. So Gardener's Cottage, that's mine, which is just here somewhere. And I was the first house to be connected in December 2017. It took a wee while basically to get to the other ones. But there we go. So the next bit of the project was to get back to the village, and that meant basically crossing Stronvar Bridge, and there's a picture of Stronvar Bridge there. And in order to do that, then one of the things that we had to bring in a contractor that could do this work on behalf of us, and we had a number of road crossings that we needed to do as well in designing the fibre layout. So this was crossing there, and the wee white houses, you can't actually see where the hall is, but the two little cottages that you can see just at the end of the bridge there, the hall is just to the right of that, and that's basically what we did. So Stronvar Bridge was a listed bridge, and it actually appeared in it's appeared in a couple of films at different times as well. 39 Steps was one of them, where Todd threw the bicycle into the river off of that, and was later seen trying to hide in the field that you can just see at the other end of the bridge, which at that stage was full of oats. And that allowed us to build our second cabinet. And around around there, working our way around the houses. There was another 22 properties that we got connected in and around the village in that. So the next step was looking at the south side. Now, the whole point of the south side was it was private roads, so it was easy to do. We didn't have to get permission from the council to do that. And there's a farm, Muirlaggan Farm, which is about halfway down Loch Foyle, which is about 4 miles. So that's about 2 miles from where we had done the initial connections at Stronvar. And it's got 2 houses there. It's got the old farmhouse and a couple of rental properties that are there. So we ran pretty much along the fence line for most of that. And then we had to cross the forestry road. And you see the picture there is doing the digging, and that took us onto the farmland at Muirlaggan. And we had this, we tried doing it with this mow plough, which was on one of our local farmers' JCB digger. Now, this worked reasonably well. The problem that we faced was that every time it hit a stone and had to reverse a bit, it caused a problem in the tubing. And
David, if I may just interject slightly, you have about 5 minutes of speaking time remaining.
Okay, I shall rattle on. So that's that.
No trouble.
And then Monaco, we have a boutique hotel at the bottom of the loch, and in May they have a big festival. Now, we hadn't got the fibre around to them yet, but they really wanted it that year, 2018. And so what we did was, because we had fibre at Muirlaggan, we set up a wireless link. And then Andrew, you can see him with his wee tent. We sold we sold a broadband connection to the 5,000 visitors that were there, and that gave us a wee bit of money into the thing. And you can see all the campers in one of the other pictures in that. So the east side of Stronvar meant going onto the public roads, and it also meant that we had to cross Carlier Bridge, which was a smaller bridge. And it was another listed building, which caused us a bit of problem because the council wouldn't let us dig across the tarmac, and we needed permission from the national park to hang it on the outside of the bridge. But in the meantime, what we managed to do was get permission to put it on a couple of poles, and you can see it on the poles there, and that allowed us to connect another 21 properties on the south side. After that, we did from Muirlaggan all the way to Monachyle, and we did that in 2 stages, and it was really through the forest. And we brought a contractor into that, and he dug a road through the forest, and then we laid the conduit, and well, we laid preblown fibre through that, and then the contractor went back over and buried it for us, and that was a pretty hard pull and pretty muddy do, and we did it. We actually did it quite quickly once the contractor was in there in 2 stages. And then we had to get from Monachyle back down the north side towards the village hall. And we had previously laid some fibre to a conduit to a house called Craigrue, where Sandy Lyle stays, a famous golfer. And we still had some pre-blown fibre, and we had to pull it. It was about 3 kilometres from Monachyle to Craigrue. And we had to do it in a couple of stages. And the picture you have there is all the volunteers that we got out on a Sunday. And basically, we started in the middle and we pulled 1.5 kilometres to Craigrue. And then once we had got there, we pulled the 1.5 the other way until we got down to Monachyle. And that then allowed us to actually start looking at connecting up Monachyle. And then we had the bit to get from the bottom of the road where it connects to the 84 all the way down to well, back down to the village hall. And that was, we had laid the conduit, and then we had a big blowing session over a bank holiday weekend. And the statistics for that was over the 4 days with all the volunteers we had. That kind of amounted to 40 days of work, or 1,600 hours of work. And because we had some difficulty with the blowing that day, we were only getting about half a K for each blow. Then it actually worked out that we blew about 19 kilometres of fibre to get all the way down to the village hall. And that allowed us another 25 connections on that. And then we went up to Balquhidder station, which was up the side of the 84. And we had to negotiate with Sustrans to use some of their conduit, and with Forest and Land Services to use their fence line to go along. And that connected another 15 houses. And then Stronvar was quite interesting, because Stronvar was across the road from the north, and the person living at Stronvar was laying a water pipe. So he allowed us to lay some conduit in that, and then we came back once that was all done and blew the fibre across there. That was about 1 kilometre to go. And the last wee bit was from Monachyle right up to the top of the glen, which is in Muirlaggan. And we laid the fibre over, well, we laid the conduit over the winter, and then we blew the fibre down to there. And then we had 2 farms which were right down in the south and another wee glen. And again, we laid the conduit, and then we blew it, well, just after the lockdown. And that really allowed us to connect up all the properties. So we're about 95% of properties that we think we're going to connect done at this moment in time. And that's basically the story.
That's great, David. Thank you very much. That was a really, really interesting talk about a side of things that not many people get to see. So that's really interesting. Thank you. I'm going to hand it over to Simon to see if we've got any questions.
Yeah, thanks very much, David. That was interesting. Well done. We have 2 questions. First one from Peter Hicks. How much resilience did you build into the network to protect against fibre breaks, etc.?
Well, we have a loop at the moment. We have a loop all the way around Lough Foyle, which is there. So Monachyle has the big hotel. Monachyle, as a commercial one, has the resilience. It's got it's got 2 potential routes to that. The only other things that we've done is each house gets 2 fibres. But that's really it. And we've had a couple of problems recently with mice chewing into some of the house drops, but nothing into the main core at this moment in time, which we've been quite lucky. But that's basically as much as we can do. The ground was pretty difficult. There were places that we just couldn't dig in, which is why we went on quite a lot of fence lines on that. Where we couldn't have a fence line, we pretty much dug in. So we're about 50-50 at the moment. I think we've got about 50% of it buried, and the other 50% is on fence lines or along walls. And that's basically all we could do with the money that we had, I think.
Thank you, David. Next question is from Dave Wilson. How did you manage to make it cost in when digging in, e.g. 2 kilometres of fibre for just 2 houses?
Yeah, well, I think we were a community, and we decided that we had to do it that way. We weren't going to do it and exclude people or properties within the Glen and not connect them. So yes, there was core that was commercial, and there was the outriders that were not commercial. But the decision was taken at the beginning that this was a community broadband project, and we wouldn't exclude anyone that wanted it. And that's basically how we got the volunteers to do it, I think.
Thank you, David. I think that answer might actually answer the third question, but from Kathy Almond, did everyone come out to help? even those who were easy to connect versus those who were further away from the main inhabited areas?
I think we had quite a big core of volunteers that would turn out most Sundays, and on occasions, the picture you saw when we were pulling the north side to Monachyle, we had about 18 volunteers out that day, and pulling up to Balquhidder station, which was another big pool, we had about the same, because these were pretty heavy pools, 2 kilometres of preblown fibre to pull out, needed quite a lot of bodies, especially over the kind of rough ground that we were going. But yes, I mean, I think we had some core, and we had quite a few other people that would pull out, when we did it. But it's like all communities. A lot of people just sat in their home and waited for it to come. But that's the way it goes, I think.
Thank you. That was the last question. So thanks very much.
Okay, thank you.